AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
But that's near impossible to catch.
Indeed it was. Gold for Chang and Shi, silver for Malaysia and bronze for Democratic People's Republic of Korea. In the men's synchronized 10-meter platform, the Chinese pace setters were Chen Aisen and Yang Hao, the double world champions. A 5-point lead at the end of the first round would be extended as Chen and Yang pulled clear of the Republic of Korea and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Going into the sixth and final round, their lead was an unassailable 47 points.
And here they come out for their final dive. And it's another big one, a back 2.5 somersaults, 2.5 twists, 3.6, slightly easier than the 4.5. But surely this is the dive for China's fourth gold medal of this competition. Well, again, just slightly missing the entry. Brilliant twist position, no wobbling. But there, unusual to see a splash. But on the way to an unofficial gold still at this point.
Score 87.48.
Hong and Rim. Dropped back slightly, currently on 316 points. Slightly low on degree of difficulty, 3.2. It's just 1.5 twist. Performed really well though. Where's the 1.5? Into the pipe. Very tight pipe too. Finishing at about 4 meters up. No problem with the entry. And they get that tearing rip sound as they go through the water. Great lookout. There's the roll. But have they left it too late? That's a score to look at 395.04. They may need to get 400s for a medal. Currently in a good position on 3.31 in and Wu. A 4.5. It's just sloppy on the end. Very fast spin. You see a splash thrown up on the end. That could determine the individual scores. Let's have a look at the synchronization. Yeah, very good at this point. Excellent rotation round, both looking good there. But splash been thrown up by the shoulders, but it's a 3.7. So 4.06.05. Is that good enough for a medal?
It was, for the silver in fact, with DPL Korea taking bronze. Total dominance of Asian Games diving continued though for China with Chen and Yang. 4 diving events at Jakarta Palembang 2018 have produced 4 more golds.
Setiap saat, setiap waktu, keringat basahi tubuh. Ini saat yang ku tunggu. Hari ini ku buktikan. Ku yakin aku kan menang. Hari ini kan dikenang. Semua doaku panjatkan. Sejarahku persembahkan. Terus fokus, satu titik. Hanya itu, titik itu. Tetap fokus kita kejar. Lampaui batas. Terus fokus, satu titik. Hanya
AIS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพเปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจสู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ
It's time to just a little bit of crosswind that may affect some of the arm stands up here on the platform. We have 12 divers starting, and there's the schedule. So we have the 10-meter preliminary first of all. Then we have a short break for the men's 1-meter springboard preliminary. And that will decide the jostle for the positions for the finals tonight. And the judges are already in position. And the supporters are already in position. And the coaches are ready as well. Quite a festive feeling down here on the pool side. And as I said, just a little bit of crosswind. The divers are protected up on the 10-meter by a barrier, but I can just feel the wind coming across, and saw earlier some of the chamois that the divers use just fluttering a little bit. And here are our 12 performers. All very relaxed. Some have competed already. And the draw has been made. So today we have 7 judges. And I have to say the judging has been very good. Over the 191 dives already performed in the first 2 days, I think there's only 3 occasions where I thought a couple of judges were looking at a different competition from myself. Very experienced judges here. And you see a barrier between each judge so they can't see the other score being put in on their JPEGs. Those are little electronic pads there on the side. We've had some good crowds here at the diving pool. And the Indonesians, yes, they had a chance for a medal, but just on the final dive, just couldn't get there. But they really got the crowd growing, and also a huge contingent from China to see their top team. And so far, the Chinese have won 4 golds out of 4. They've been completely dominant, actually, right through the 70s up to the current time. No other nation has won a gold medal. So we're going to see 5 round of dives, all optional dives, and at the end of the competition, those points will not be carried through to the finals this evening, but the diver that wins, and the favourites are the Chinese, they will dive last, and those that come at the bottom of the scores in this prelims, they will dive first. It's always an advantage to dive last, and here's our start list. So starting off is the Korean, the 21-year-old, and then we go to Singapore, the 24-year-old, and it follows on Japan, China, then the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, who've performed really well, already has some medals at this competition, and then finishing off down the pack in 9th is Singapore, and we have Malaysia, Republic of Korea, and the Macau divers. So 12 divers to dive 5 rounds in all, 1 round less than the men that will be competing on the 1 meter a little bit later this afternoon for their prelims.
Round 1, Moon Yanun from Korea.
So Moon Yanun from Korea, 21-year-old. Coach is Kang Seung-yoon. And she has a FINA ranking of 78, but that's on springboard, starting with an inward 2.5 somersaults in the pike position. A reasonable dive, got the straight entry, but halfway through the dive, she flattened her feet. Sometimes the divers do that when they think that they're close to the platform, but she actually did it when she was past the platform, gets the feet pointed on the second part of the somersault, but you can see throwing down, finishing low, bit of splash thrown up, 2.8 degree of difficulties, and 57.4. That's pretty good on a 2.8 degree of difficulty. So former gymnast, 24-year-old Lee. So same dive, inward 2.5. Well, it's a much better takeoff, but she couldn't hold the entry. So everything right in the start. She got that little pop off the diving board, using the ankles to create that spring. But after spinning fast, needed to come out much earlier than that. Check the somersault on the double. She doesn't do that, holds on too long to the 2 1/4 and goes right over. And the scores reflect that, just 46 points. So it's 11 points less than the Korean. So we have 5 in with 2 1/2 in this first round. This is a third of them. Japanese diver. Oh, that's probably a lot better. So divers on in with 2 1/2 be looking to reach 60 points. Very good pike. There's the spot. Looking, punching for the water. Was going over, but she put a pretty good save on it. And it's a high score so far at 63 points. Well deserved. Next up is our current champion, Si Yi, 19-year-old. Won convincingly 4 years ago. So the clear favourite, Olympic silver medalist, also 3 times world champion, starting with a 3 1/2 somersaults in the pike position. Well, it's going to go a lot more than 63, I'm sure. It's 3.0. And you could hear her pound the end of the diving board. She attacks the end here. And then good throw, double somersault at 9 1/2 meters. Floats out of it at 6 meters. There you can see the punch for the water and how tight her body is. 73.50. That completely dwarfs the Japanese diver's 63. Kim Kook-young, Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Same dive to follow the Chinese. Former gymnast, switched to diving. Well, that was an even better entry. The takeoff was just slightly forward with that hesitant throw. But I have to say it was a better entry. Should get up into the 70s, hugging the legs. And where did that splash go? She punches, rolls under the water, drags all the splash down with her, and it goes 78 points. She's ahead of the Chinese. Teammate, Kim Mi-rae, 4th Olympic Games, and at the World Cup has a silver and bronze. On a good day, she can get a medal. Well, these entries are absolutely fantastic. Already, in the first 2 days of diving, we've had 5 10s. 2 came from the Chinese girls. And with diving like this, and we're still only in the prelims, perhaps tonight we're going to see more 10s. Look at that beautiful pike, floats around, locks out, and another dive in the 70s. 75.50 puts her into 2nd place. So the Koreans in 1st and 2nd ahead of China. But now we have this amazing 14-year-old, Zhang Jiaqi, already with a gold medal in the synchronized competition. Same dive. Oh, I just missed it a little bit. Slightly shorter vertical. And when she's going around, we'll see a gap between her chest and her legs in that pike. So it doesn't really pull in tight to the pike. And so finishes lower than normal. We see the splash. I wonder if her arms slipped and she couldn't get right under those legs. I was watching her practice and this was brilliant. So a 72 for her is actually a miss. Indonesia. So no medals, well, no gold medals in the South Asian Games, but it's got 2 silvers. So no golds in the Asian Games, but she has 2 silvers and same dive yet again, 3.5. Couldn't hold the entry again. It's a real problem. If you can't get into a tight pike, when you come out, the body still continues to rotate. Here, you see the gap between the face and the knees. Finally gets into a bit more of a pull, round on the second and third part of the dive, and she's not grabbing her hand, she's punching for the water. And there, washes over. So one of the lowest scores now at 43 points. Yeah, just slightly lower than the Singaporean diver. And talking of which, the teammate is coming up. Lim Frida, in with 2.5 somersaults pike. 4th one we've seen in this first round. Very good dive as well. At the start, I thought maybe she leant back a little bit or her shoulders moved back, but boy, she got that throw, spun well and pulled in tight. Here, very tight pike, nose right down on the top of her legs, finishes high. You could see her sighting that water from about 4 meters up, and then from there on, it was just target practice and a good roll under the water. So she matches the 63 by the Japanese diver. Good start. Well, another diving great. So Malaysia's Olympic silver medalist, Pandiela Pang. Bronze medal 4 years ago. Bronze medal in the World Cup just a few months ago. 3.5. Again, not getting into that tight pike, and that is a huge miss for her. Another diver not pulling in, finishing low to the water, and here you can drive a bus right through the middle of that pike. And she just barely got around, and that's so unusual for her. So 4 more rounds to recover. 51, that's one of the lowest scores that she's had on a 3.5 pike in the last 2 years. Korean, in with 2.5 pike. So the highest score we've seen on an inward 2.5 pike so far is 63. Can she do better? She's a birthday girl, 23 today. And maybe she'll get a few extra birthday scores as well. Really nice inward 2.5, just a bit loose with the back coming out. Good throw, nice distance, floats around. Yeah, just there, lifts the chest up coming out of the pike here. Hard to spot from this angle. And they've caned her for it because of that splash, that loose back on the entry. Chinese Macau with the easiest of the dives, 1.8. It's a back dive pike. So not ready for the multiple somersaults, back 2.5s, back 3.5s yet. So she's allowed to use this simple back dive, but it's the experience she's gaining by being in this competition. And a reasonable effort as well. You can see that she just needs more experience, hasn't really got the confidence to jump off that platform, and she's probably made the right choice to go for the easy dive at the moment, because you don't want to get hurt until you're ready for those big dives. Good technique there. Again, it just has to work on conditioning, strength, and locking out on the end. 32.40 is more a reflection of the degree of difficulty at 1.8 rather than the actual dive. So after the first round, that's a surprise. 2 Koreans ahead of the 2 Chinese, but it's very close. They're all in the 70 points. Japanese diver Ari is doing really well in joint 5th place with the Singaporean, who did a brilliant first inward 2.5 for that 63 points. And then following on, the other Korean team, 7th and 8th, followed on by Malaysian Now, Pang really surprised with her 3.5 pike, just scoring 51 points, but a lot more to play for. We have four more rounds of optional dives.
Round 2, Moon Nayeon from Korea, 205B.
So the first of the back 2.5 pikes. This is a tricky dive. You have to be able to spot the board and the water on the double before looking back. Such a brilliant jump into it. Didn't hold back at all. But after the double, when she came out, her back loosened. This part is good. Coming around spot again. Very good at this point, but then the bendy back just keeps the dive rolling over. You need to stay tight before you reach back for that entry. So, 116 points. So Lee currently in 10th place on 46 points, 3.5 pike. Very slow with the throw on the start and finished about 3 meters off the water. So here we can see her trying to jump high, but the throw was late, so slow in the pike and really not having time to lock out. Yeah, it needs to throw a lot earlier than that to get the dive rotating. So under 100 points for the first 2 dives. Did well in the first round, 63 points. Now a 3.5 pike. Such a shame. It's just the technique on the out has dropped the dive short. And you can see that reflected in the coach's face. Good at this point. Judges really won't see the slight bend of the knees because that's held by the elbows as you hug the legs. But here coming out, chest lifted up, and a big splash. So cumulative score, a 1, 2, 3 for the moment. So just 60 points for the individual dive. All right, China. Currently in 3rd place, the favourite. Well, this is a tricky one. It's an arm stand, a back arm stand, in fact, double with 1.5 twists, and the wind has really picked up. She'll be feeling this now. You can see the wind now coming from the side. It's blowing on her hair, but she has such a steady handstand. This is the hardest bit, getting up into the back handstand. Well, she did a good job with it, but she didn't hold the handstand as long as possible. I think the wind did put her off. You could just see the acrobatic ability needed, but she drifted off, then into the twist, feet just a little bit loose there, then locks out. Well, 2 9s, gets her up to 155. Kim Cook currently in the lead on 78 points. What an amazing front 3.5 she did in the first round. This, even more difficult, in with 3.5 somersaults tuck. Oh, she hesitated on the kick out. Wow. Well, that'll lose a point or 2. There's a double bounce, and boy, did she go for it. I think she'll be deducting points for that. But here, didn't kick out quickly. You can just see those knees hang there before locking out. She's taken her eye off the water, and it kicks over. So she drops out of first place with 145 for her second dive. An opportunity now for Kim Mi Rae. who is currently in second place with that 73 points on the first dive. Same dive. That's more like it. Very positive, going from the tuck, transition to the pike to check the rotation, but still just slightly over. Good throw, tight tuck, really tight tuck there. Double at 9 meters, triple at 7 meters, piking out at 5 meters, and just there. Reaches from the wrong part of the water and rides slightly over. 147, so just 2 points ahead of her teammate, but behind Siyu Ji of China. Zhang now currently in 4th place. Already 110 she scored with her partner in the women's 10 meter synchro competition. Well, she disappears on the end, but finished very low. And again, I'm just wondering if the wind picking up from the side is just putting the divers off a little bit, because in the practice, there was no wind at all. They didn't have to think about it. Probably going to be the highest scoring diver of this competition. Needs 155 or more to go into the lead, and she doesn't do it. She's on 147, same as the Korean. Indonesia, slightly easier dive, a back. 2.5 somersaults, half twist in the pike position. So we'll see the twist first of all. Pretty dive when it's performed correctly. Missed the first dive, the front 3.5. Couldn't hold the entry. She's 2 mistakes there. Arm swing very slow on the platform, lent off, and then when she came out, she crimped. That's where her knees bent a little bit. Here we can see the drift back, but right here at this point, comes around, feels slow, bends her knees, and you just cannot do that on this dive. You've got to stay positive, got to keep your legs straight, got to stay tight, and then loses it on the entry. So that's the second missed dive for her, and she still isn't over 100 points after the first 2 rounds. Frida Lin, really good first round dive on that inward 2.5. Matched the other score of 63. 3.5 pike now, 3.0. Completely out of timing on the end of the diving board. The jump and the throw weren't in sync. She travelled forward and takes too long to get into the pike here. Back from the end. At this point, she knew she was in trouble, dropping fast, very low to the water, and had to come out early at this point. Otherwise, she would have crashed in on her shoulders. So that's the best she could have done with that entry, with that takeoff. And boy, they've really caned her. Right down on 4s and 3.5s for 96 points. Well, Malaysian. Pandaleda Pang. Such a shock with that front 2.5, oh, front 3.5 at 51 points. One of the favourites here to get a medal at least. Current bronze medalist. Well, can she pick it up now? Back 2.5 somersaults in the pike position. Oh, that's more like it. That's the way to drill the dive. And she's happy underwater. You can see her smiling. More a bit of relief after missing that first dive, but a fantastic back 2.5. Here, looking for the water. Now we see the lockout. Her body's tight. She punches for the water, and then under the water, she's doing the knee side. That's a good comeback. 8s across the board. That 7.5 will be knocked out, and then multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Oh, no hanging about there for the Korean, front 3.5. Average first dive, 54 points. Just need to pull that face down a little earlier. At this point, nice pike position. Not under the knees, around the back of the calf muscles, but a good out. Yeah, locking out well there, but somehow didn't get the feel on the hands. Bit of splash thrown up. Another diver on 120. So final diver in this round. Situ Leon from Macau. So opened with a back dive pike at 1.8. Similar dive, reverse dive pike. Carries a 0.1 extra degree of difficulty, but still at just 1.9. Yeah, performed it very well too. The coach knows this is just for experience, and when you're landing on your head, getting the vertical entries, that's good enough. Again, just needs a bit more confidence to get that jump off the platform. Good pike, reach back well, and goes in straight. 66 points, so 31 points for the individual bit, and 63 overall. After 2 rounds of 5, well, the change is there. We have Xie Yuji, who's the Olympic silver medalist, up there in first. Very close, though. Just ahead by 8 of a teammate to Zhang. And then we have the Korean team in 3rd and 4th. And following up at the bottom there, Singapore, Indonesia, and Macau. 3 more rounds of optional dives. The Chinese haven't run away yet, so there's still an opportunity, but they have completely dominated this competition for the last, well, since 1974. Moon of Korea, currently on 116. Did a good job with that, jumped a long way out the diving board. Mind you, this is a psychological dive. You're standing there and you have to rotate back to the board. You want to get away from the end so your head's not too close, but that was a little too far away. Kicks early, did the right thing, pulls the dive around. Reasonable job, 171. So Singapore. This is the 3rd of the back 2.5s we're going to see. Lee is currently just under 100 points on 97. Divers stand with half their foot on the board, half their foot off. That gives the ankles the ability to rock up and down. Such a shame. Great start, good arm swing. Her legs came up quick and then just kicks out too early. There's a lot of adjustments going on. It's how you feel. She feels fast at this point. That's why she kicked down to the water. Just needed to hold on as normal, like she did in practice, and then she would have got the vertical entry. So low scores, not because of the technique, but because of how she went in the water. 1-3-3-4-5. Well, that's the way to do it. Great jump up in the air and pretty much held the entry. He's in 7th place, 1-2-3 at the moment. Look at that pike, perfect pike there. Just here, a little bit of arch and a late save going through the water. Beautiful body line though. And you see those tight feet staying there all the way to the completion. 178. Current leader at the moment, current favourite, the Olympic silver medalist, out. 8-point lead at 155. This, a back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists. Her 2nd most difficult dive at 3.2. Well, I'm seeing a few mistakes, and that's very unusual, but this is just the prelims. People will tighten up in the final. First little mistake, this drift back. It's only a tiny one, but it makes a difference. There's the 1.5 twist, little open on the pike, and there you see that small kick over at the end because of that drift at the beginning. And it's a miss. but still 2-2-5 and an 8-point lead. She's doing well.
From People's Republic of Korea. 6-2-4-3.
Move from first back to fourth, but only 2 points out of third at the moment. This, a back arm stand double somersault, 1.5 twists. The wind has just dropped a little bit, so that's an advantage for her. An amazing handstand and a jump off. Oh, she just flicked too hard. What a jump off her hands, though. She got the same jump as if she was doing a standing dive. What a beautiful handstand. The line was there, perfect in every way, but here just flicks too hard, rotating too fast now. She couldn't do anything to stop it and kicks way over. Just needed to relax a little bit on that start. Shaking her head, she knew. She blew it there. 196. Well, she's now 29 points behind. Kimmy Ray, currently in third on 147, same dive. Again, the wind has just dropped down for a little bit. You can see how precarious you are at the end of that diving board. That was more like it on the start. Didn't flick down, got the same jump off. Just ducks her chin down slightly on the entry. Beautiful feet. That is a good takeoff there. Just a small flutter of the feet, but it's that entry there. Took her sight off the water and just let it roll slightly. But she's on 214. That'll keep her for the moment in third place. Zhang currently 8 points behind her teammate. But this, back 3.5 somersaults. It's pretty good. Pretty good for a prelim. Slight miss if it was going to be in the finals. But look at this jump. No hold back for the 14-year-old. One somersault, double somersault at board level, triple somersault at 6.5 meters. Just there, the feet are a little bit high. She can feel it rolling over, and she's getting ready for this knee save. Just comes slightly late with a tiny, tiny twist. Well, 219. That only puts her 6 points behind her teammate. So she's picked up a further 2 points. Again, this is just for positioning for the finals, where I think everybody will sharpen up. Indonesia. Dewi is on currently 79 points. This is her most difficult dive at 3.2, in with 3.5. After this, she has a 2.9 and a 2.8. Wind's back up again. Shouldn't affect the inward, though. She missed the entry. I was watching this in practice, and she was backing off a long way, but she got the vertical entry. Here, though, she gets a better takeoff. She feels like she's still low, and she's not. She was a lot higher than she was in practice, hasn't made the adjustment. You can see she's taken her eyes off the water, and it comes a bit of a shock to her. Then she's ridden over on the end. So just 118 points. That's 100 points less than the Chinese divers at the moment. Lim, Singapore, currently on 96. Second most difficult dive at 2.9. Back 2.5 somersaults pike. Oh, very sweet entry. A little loose on the takeoff with a wide arm swing. going into the pike here. Just the arms are wide, hips a bit bendy, but good pike, good out, fine reach back, and only a little bit of splash been thrown up, so that's going to help her. From the side, the judges will take that into account. Looks good. So 159. So it's a 53 she scored on that. Another back arm stand coming up. So Pang missed the first dive. Better on the back 2.5 in the second round. She's got 3 more dives now. This a 3-2, next a 3-2, and the final dive a 3-2. Back arm stand double, 1.5 twists. Again, perfect start. Ah, she's angry herself. She just hung in that tuck under the water thinking, why did I stay in that pike a little bit long, coming around for the entry. There's the flick. And just here, needed to reach forward to stop the kick over. It doesn't matter, though. It'll still be in the final. She was just saying, just that pike down at the end, just a bit too late. But she's on 176 for now. So the last of the back 2.5s in the pike position in this round. And that could be quite painful. You're landing that shoulder vertical. So very low scores coming up. Didn't hang around. Into the pike. Good here. Needed to stay in that pike a lot longer and spin faster. If you're going to push your feet down at the water on a double, you're going to be spinning a lot faster in the spin and finishing higher than that. So a miss. And she's down on 155. Tut in Leong to finish off this round 3. So higher degree of difficulty, 2.3, a 2.5 somersaults pike, and she's going to do it in the standing position. Again, this is a lead up for when she's more confident, and she'll be adding a somersault to do a 3.5. Oh, very steady too. It's a good effort. Just on 63 points, but that's because of the low DD. But look at that, good throw. That was down the middle. Not too bad on the pike. She's flexible, but just needs to keep the knees a bit more locked out. Splash has come up again because she needs just more entry work, flat hand. But 6s, that's the highest score she's got individually for 108. So after 3 rounds of 5, we can see that the Chinese will still be in the lead, and they are. Xi on 2.25, teammate on 2.19, but look how close that is. Kim Mi-rae just 4 points behind. And there we can see second Korean down in 9th, Singapore 10, Indonesia in 11th, and Leong, who's doing really well with that low degree of difficulty from Macau, is in 12th. So still a few more rounds to decide the final lineup for this evening's final. So Moon on the moment on 171. This is a 3.5 somersaults pike. Again, just a small mistake by being a little open in that pike, just creates that movement on the end. Good throw, fast spin, but there's a gap there in the pike. You need to close that off because then you can stop dead. See that gap? The chin isn't across the top of the shins, and there you see the little bit movement on the end because the continuation of that rotation. 229.95. She's normally in 7.5s and 8s. Dropped down to 6.5s and 7s. Currently on 133, Lee of Singapore, reverse dive pike. Good effort there. Slight jump forward away from the board. Just as last day the Singaporeans are competing, they're going home tomorrow. And under the new coach, Pong Lee, will be working to try and get qualified for the Olympics at next year's World Championships. Beautiful line going through the water, but next year I'm sure we'll be seeing a reverse 2.5 out of her, not a reverse dive. Oh, lovely reverse 2.5 somersaults there. This is a dive that if you can do it well, you can spot well and you're confident, you just feel like you fly around at the end. Beautiful jump, lovely tuck. Now you kick out and you just fly and wait and then you hit the water. She got it right. Feels good. I think in the final we'll see him actually punching the air if she does it that well. Few eights there, a couple of 8.5s. 2, 4, 5, 3, 0. All right, big dive now. 3.3 for the current leader, but just 6 points ahead. Good practice for tonight's final. It's back 3.5. Oh, she kicks early, bends her back, pulls the dive around. That takes very quick reactions. Here, just a little slow with the arms. So it's hard for, say, the general public to see this, but she's feeling very slow and stuck. Knees part now to increase her rotation. Kicks up to make the adjustment, bends her back and gets the dive around. Well done. And just 0.25 shy of 300 at 299. Kim Cook Yang currently on 196, so down on DD by 0.4 over the Chinese. This a back 2.5, so one less somersault, but it's in the pike position. Oh, lovely sound to that. I'm sitting up here in the commentary box and I heard this tearing sound. She rips through the water. Good jump, excellent pike, spots well, and then disappears. Currently in 4th place on 196. Now up to 264. 4 8s in there. So teammate in 3rd place at the moment. It's a big one, most difficult dive for her at 3.3, the back 3.5 somersaults. Currently on 214. She's stuck at the start, spinning slow. She gave that little extra push and pull in the tuck on the 2nd, 3rd somersault, but it didn't work for her. There you can see that extra little squeeze, but it still doesn't kick up. Trying to pull the dive around, realizes it's too late. And that's a massive miss for her. Right down, one of the lowest scores at 2.5. Another judge at 5.5. Maybe he didn't see the twist in there. So only 6 points behind. This young 14-year-old already 1 gold medal in the bag. Back armstand double, 1.5 twists. Oh, that was beautiful. I couldn't see anything wrong with that. Maybe a tiny, tiny bend in the back on the entry. But effortlessly off, little flick, beautiful twist, lovely head position and twist actually, spots the water, drags the splash down with her. Her teammate's on 299. Will she catch her? Oh, same score, 299.80, actually 0.05 ahead of her teammate. Well, that cheer going up wasn't for Zhang's beautiful back arm stand there. It's for Indonesia. Yui, currently on 118. Back 2.5 somersaults pike. Second most difficult dive for her at 2.9. Hardly any arm swing at all, and you need that to get the rotation. But she's used the lean back from the platform. Here, leaning back, she's traveling away, takes a long time to get legs up. At this point, it's always going to go short. And yeah, she's just waiting for the water to hit the back of the shoulders. Doesn't pull around at all. It's a miss. And a big 1-2, 4s and 5s to 157. Currently on 159, Singaporean. The reverse 2.5 tuck. Normally a good dive for Frida. As long as she gets the jump up in the air, not push forward. Oh yeah, no, just slid off the diving board. And again, just too tense up there. She's been training out at the University of Georgia for 3 years, where she actually learnt this dive. But their hips push forward, dropping like a stone, kicks too early. And that's one of the poorest reverse 2.5s that we're seeing. But again, it's just the prelims. Just 6 points shy of 200. Inward 3.5 somersaults tuck, the only one that we're going to see in round 4. Throws the chamois down. Chamois are used to dry the legs so when you're grabbing the shins, your hands don't slip. And fully taped up as well. You can see the impact and what it takes on those joints doing platform diving. So Pang is really looking quite sluggish here in this prelim. I'm sure she's going to sharpen up. A good spring off the board, but here, head is up, creates a slow rotation, finishing low, punches full of water, but just finishing too low really to get the complete lockout. Needs to pull apart to increase the rotation, but it hasn't really helped her. Just needs more jump at the start. So at the moment, quite an average Pang. And just on 2, 3, 4. She's about 40 points back on what her normal score would be at this point. Well, the first of a back arm stand triple somersault. This is a really tough dive. Triple somersault backwards. She drew the legs into the body off the platform. Feet were flat going around. That's an indication that she didn't feel good. Here, feet flat. Just about gets them pointed, kicks late. Because of that open tuck and feeling slow, she wasn't quite sure where the adjustment was going to be. And just 0.05 shy of 200 at 199.95. Well, this is the most difficult dive for Leong. She picked up the DD in the third round with a 2-3, but this is 2-5, in with 2.5. We've seen it done in the pike position. This is in the tuck position. And a good effort too. Again, just 19 years of age. Needs a little bit more time up on the platform. Through down, tucks good, sees the water, tries to punch for it. Again, these dives are actually learnt in the gym. We see a change direction underwater. That's called a scoop. It's not advisable to do that too often because you can hurt your back. Well, she's on 145 going into the final round of dives. And it's all change at the top, but only by 0.05. So Zhang, the young 14-year-old who got 10s in the synchro competition, leads a little bit over CGE of China. It's getting quite an exciting prelims. You don't normally see the lead change. First it was the Korean team in the lead, and then overtook by the Olympic silver medalist, who is now back in second place with a young 14-year-old currently in the lead. But we have this final round to go. Normally it's the round where the divers will put in their most difficult but also most confident dives. Moon up first then with her back, 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists. Didn't pull into the pike after the 1.5 and just couldn't get the rotation going. Really good start though with a 1.5 twist. At this point, good jump, 1.5 twist, but here opening the pike, slow rotation, drops short, and it's a miss for her. She was on 2.29. She's not going to go over 300 points. It's a disaster. 2.6835. She'll be thinking about that for this evening. Singapore currently on 1.53. It's the second of 8 of these dives. Back 2.5, 1.5 twists in this final. We're going to see 10 twists in all, but 8 of them will be this dive. Now you see the legs fluttering all over the place. That's because of the start. The arms coming around the side, the feet come apart because you've got a lot more force working on the body. So the feet there, can't get them together. Very hard to get into the pike. And doesn't grab the hands, just punches for the water. 2.26.15, so that's the score going into the final for her. So the third of 8 of the back 2.5 twisters, currently on 2.45 for the Japanese diver. Well, that's more like it. That's the way to get off the platform. Get the jump up in the air, fast into the twist. The coach is saying, yeah, just got to get it on the entry. But this is a lovely takeoff. And the head position, perfect there. Good pike here. And there. That's what the coach was talking about. Just needed to lock out a little bit more, tighter in the back, just to drag a bit more of the splash down. But a reasonable list of dives, though. She's over 300 at 314. So a good set of 5 dives for her. C, who has now dropped by 0.05 into second place. It's all in a day's work for her, in with 3.5 somersaults. Yeah, good entry. Small flutter of feet going from the tuck to the pike. I just get the feeling that she's going to step it up a gear in a few hours' time. Have something to eat, a bit of fluids in you, maybe a little bit more practice, and you won't see those feet coming apart like we saw there on the triple. Good lockout at this point. Still not catching the palm of the hand, the outside of the palm of the hand to take that water down. Gets 1.9, couple of 8s, 3.78, 15. Currently on 2.64 at the moment, ahead of her teammate by 12 points. So in third place for now. Yeah, lovely entry, nice sound to it. Again, that small mistake you can see from the twist going into the pike after 1.5. It's just the feet coming apart. Good here, feet together, now apart, back together again. And good lineup. So for the moment, that should keep her in third spot. So a steady dive to finish. 3-4-1, that's a good score, 3-4-1.35. Well, we would have Kim here, silver in the competition on the first day, would need 81 points. Actually, I'm adding up now, 89 points, which is possible on a 3-2 to go ahead of a teammate for the third spot. But she's not going to get it. It did sound very nice going through the water. Maximum score you can get on 96, because it's a 3.2. She needs 89.5 to go ahead. But with that fall back, a little bit wobble there with the feet, it'll stay down in the 70s. Yeah, good lock out there, but that mistake halfway through the dive. Keep it. Just scoring 7.5. 1-8, that'll get knocked off. 324. So she's 15 points behind her teammate. Up now, the leader. Well, it's the best of the back 2.5, 1.5 we've seen, but even then, you saw a little bit of a splash. And that's just a sign that you know she can get tighter on the end. Good twist, good pike, good lineup. Yeah, just drags the hand slightly forward in front of her face as she goes through the water. Just need to stay there, keep your line, and there wouldn't have been any splash at all. But 3-8-1, that's a huge score. So she definitely will go into the final in first place, which means she will dive in 12th place, which gives her the advantage. But it's not over yet. Indonesia now. Final dive. Reverse 2.5 tuck. So if she performs this well, should go over 200 points. Maybe even as high as 220. Yeah, and the crowd were willing her all the way down from about 8 meters. You could just see them getting louder and louder and louder. And then the relief, she gets a vertical entry. Here's the jump, just a little slow. Nice tuck position, though. Kicks at the right time. Was loose going through the water. Should go over 200 points. And just about with 210. So she won't be at the bottom of the list going into the finals. She'll have a few divers ahead of her, I'm sure. Singapore. Doing well on 194. So the 7th of these 8 back 2.5, 1.5 twists. Oh, that's a struggle off the platform. Again, another diver with the wrong technique going into twist. The arm coming right around the side. Here, round the side, wobbling, hard to get into that pike. You wobble all the way around on that last bit of 2.5. Yeah, need to work more on the start, get the jump up in the air, get into some pits where you can think about the takeoff, not about the finish. So 238. I'm sure it'll be a high score in the finals. 3 divers to go now. First up, Olympic silver medalist from Malaysia, Pang, who's having a so-so competition at the moment, and who'll be really disappointed if she doesn't get into the 300 points. She needs to go 66 points on this back twister. That's doable. It's a 3.2. Can she salvage something from this competition? No. Again, I'm wondering if she's got an injury. There's no arm swing at all. Nothing getting her going on the rotation. Yeah, just here, really slow, loose, and dropping, and not making the dive at all. Well, will she be under 300 points with that final dive? She doesn't look happy at all, and it is just 2.77. So another miss for the Olympic medalist. Two divers, birthday girl from Korea. Well, I like that. 2.5, one twist, something different. So out of all the twists in this round, so you see the twist there, and then there. And a roll and a twist under the water as well, just to finish. 2.9 degree of difficulty, 2.52. And our final diver in this prelims for the women's 10 metre. It's another twist, but at 2.0. A back 1.5 somersaults, half twist. So out of all the list, this is the middle easiest at 2.04. 2.0 for her. She has been as high as 2.5, that in with 2.5 tuck. Easy dive to finish. And another good effort as well. So similar to the other dives, eventually this will become a 1.5 twisting 1.5, and then eventually a 2.5 twisting 1.5. Yeah, nice flight through the air there. Reasonable look at the end. And again, just needs to work on the body tension to drag the water down. So 1.82 as a final score from the Macau girl. So that's the end of the prelims. And it's been changing at the top 3 times. And it's unofficial, but we'll see that the young 14-year-old Zhang from China will go into the finals this evening in top spot. And there it is. She has a 3-point, let me see, that's 2.5 lead over the Olympic silver medalist Xi Ji of China. And then we have the Korean team in 3rd and 4th. So they will be diving 9th and 10th in the finals. Japanese girl did really well, and those divers will dive in reverse order. So the final tonight, Macau diver Leong will kick off with her 5 dives. Well, it's quite interesting to watch a prelim like this. You can see that the divers can be a lot sharper. We did see 7 or 8 9s, and that was from the Korean team and the Chinese. No 10s today, or no 10s this morning. Very unusual to see 10s in a prelim competition. But maybe tonight, because if 10s come, it's normally in the men's 10 metre or the women's 10 metre. And to finish off, we have a little rerun of some of the nicest dives that we saw in this prelim competition. So through all the 5 rounds, we saw every group of dive being used. We saw the forward, the back, the reverse, the inward, the twist, and also the back arm stand twist and the back arm stand somersaults. Beautiful diving off the 10 metre. It takes guts, it takes strength, it takes poise, it takes 30 hours of training a week, and not just in the pool, but also in the gym. And you can see the acrobatic ability of these divers. 90% of the divers in the world at the top of their game, competing internationally, were either former gymnasts or acrobats or trampolinists. And they've used those transfer skills to push it into diving. So there we are. We have the finals this evening. A little later on, we have the prelims of the men's 1 metre. And we're watching them earlier in the competition and in practice. I'm going to see some very difficult dives done in the space of just 1 second. So I'm Chris Snowd. Hope you've enjoyed the diving in our first of 4 competitions today. Up in just an hour or so. Do come back, stay with us for the men's prelim 1 metre competition.
AS Play รวมความบันเทิงคุณภาพ เปิดความสนุกทุกที่ทุกเวลา
ส่งต่อความมั่นใจ สู้ไปด้วยกันนะครับ